There is something that happens in pretty much every garden every summer that most of us have just kind of quietly accepted as inevitable. The ants arrive, right? First, it's just a simple little trail along the path edge. Then you spot a nest popping up in the lawn. Then maybe another one under a pot you haven't moved in a while. And then you notice them on your vegetable plants. You look a bit closer and you realize the aphid colony on your tomatoes has literally tripled in just a week. Why? Well, because those ants have been actively protecting those aphids, farming them actually, and keeping every natural predator away. It's a deeply familiar, incredibly frustrating scene. Now, most of us just reach for a chemical ant killer. And sure, it works, but only for 2 or 3 weeks. Then the colony simply relocates and the whole cycle starts over. So today I'm going to walk you through 7 natural, science-backed methods to manage this structurally. No internet myths here, just documented biological mechanisms. And I'll plant this little curiosity seed for you right now. The 7th method on our list works on a completely different level. It doesn't just target how they navigate. It addresses why they are there in the first place. It's a real paradigm shift. But to understand it, we first need to understand the ants themselves.
So the fundamental problem with chemical killers is that they are really just temporary bandits. They force a retreat, but they absolutely do not change the underlying environment. Natural methods, on the other hand, provide long-term structural management. I've researched every single one of these 7 methods to make sure they actually interfere with the way ants navigate, communicate, and establish their colonies. I want you to understand not just what to pour in your garden, but exactly why it works.
Before we dive into the specific methods, let's take just 60 seconds or so to look at how ants actually get around. You see, ants don't navigate by sight or memory. They use pheromones. Think of these as invisible chemical highways laid down by scout ants. When a scout finds food, it leaves a scent trail all the way back to the nest. Then the rest of the colony precisely follows that exact trail, reinforcing it as they go. That's exactly why you always see them moving in those highly defined, marching lines. Disrupting these chemical trails causes the colony's efficiency to just completely collapse. And honestly, that confusion is the documented biological mechanism behind most of the methods we're about to cover. Now, beyond navigation, ants need to build a home. To establish a colony, they're actively looking for 3 exact conditions: consistent warmth, dry, undisturbed ground, and proximity to a reliable food source. Understanding these exact requirements is absolutely crucial because this is the secret behind that mysterious 7th method I mentioned earlier. But first, let's look at how we can disrupt their existing chemical highways. All right, our first method is the white vinegar solution. The crucial player here is the acetic acid. White vinegar completely destroys pheromone trails on contact. When you spray this mixture along an active trail, the acetic acid chemically breaks down those scout-laid compounds. The trail literally just vanishes to the ants, leaving them totally disoriented. To use it, simply mix equal parts white vinegar and water, find those active lines of ants, and spray generously. Now, the smell dissipates for us in a few hours, but for them, the trail is ruined. I do want to be perfectly honest about its limitations, though. Vinegar only disrupts existing trails. It doesn't stop new ones from forming, so you will need to reapply it every few days for the first couple of weeks. Oh, and one warm word of caution. Never spray this directly onto your plant foliage, as the acidity will definitely burn the leaves. Moving on to our second method, we have food-grade diatomaceous earth. Now, this is a fascinating mechanical approach rather than a chemical one. Diatomaceous earth is actually made from the fossilized remains of microscopic aquatic organisms. To us and to our pets, it just feels like a soft powder. But under a microscope, these are razor-sharp particles. When an ant walks over, say, a 2-centimeter barrier line of this powder, the particles physically abrade the waxy outer layer of the ant's exoskeleton. Without that protective cuticle, the ant can't retain moisture and quickly begins to dehydrate. They learn very fast, instinctively avoid it. The strict limitation here, however, is moisture. The very moment it gets wet, the particles clump together and it loses its effectiveness completely. So you absolutely must reapply it after watering your pots or after a heavy rain.
We're going to look at our third method in just a moment, but I just want to give you a quick, gentle reminder. The ultimate root cause solution, the one that changes the entire dynamic of your garden, is still on the way. Keep those 3 things ants need to survive in the back of your mind.
Okay, let's look at the science backing up our third method, cinnamon, specifically cinnamon essential oil. As published in the International Journal of Scientific and Research Publications, this actually functions as a genuine repellent. The active compound, cinnamaldehyde, is strongly aromatic and chemically overpowers the ants' chemosensory systems. Essentially, they just can't distinguish their own trail signals over the overwhelming noise of the cinnamon. On top of that, inhaling high concentrations of it genuinely irritates their respiratory tracts, making the area deeply uncomfortable for them.
You'll want to mix 15 to 20 drops of the essential oil into a liter of water, maybe add a little drop of washing up liquid, and spray it around vulnerable areas. Regular ground cinnamon powder from the pantry has a modest effect, sure, but the essential oil is where the true power lies. Method 4 is absolutely perfect for the gardener who wants a long-term, low-maintenance approach. It's peppermint. Peppermint contains volatile menthol and terpene compounds. Much like cinnamon, this overloads the ants' scent processing capacity. It makes their navigation incredibly confusing. You can use cotton balls soaked in peppermint oil around nest entrances, but planting it directly in your garden provides a persistent, self-renewing deterrent every single time the wind rustles the leaves. I do want to offer a very practical warning here, though. If you plant peppermint directly in the earth, it will try to take over your entire garden faster than the ants will. Always plant it in a buried container to keep it politely restricted.
We are moving through these wonderfully, and we are very nearly at that foundational 7th method, the one that shifts us from playing defense to playing offense. It's rapidly approaching, right after these next 2 incredibly clever household methods. Method 5 puts your morning routine to work right out in the garden. Used coffee grounds. This costs absolutely nothing, but it is surprisingly effective. The caffeine and chlorogenic acids in coffee create a powerful pheromone masking effect. It basically overwhelms the scent environment, breaking those chemical highways. But I really love this method because of the secondary benefits. Spreading free daily coffee grounds adds valuable organic matter and a small amount of nitrogen right back into your soil. Plus, slugs and snails naturally dislike it, which is a fantastic bonus. Just like the diatomaceous earth, though, a heavy rain will wash this application away, so just keep your coffee grounds container handy and refresh the area whenever the soil dries out. Our 6th method targets the nest directly. It's a homemade citrus peel liquid. The rind of oranges, lemons, or grapefruits contains a compound called D-limonene. Research actually shows that D-limonene literally dissolves the waxy coating on an ant's exoskeleton on direct contact. Because of this, ants find environments saturated with D-limonene to be chemically hostile. To make this at home, gently simmer the peel of 3 or 4 citrus fruits in a liter of water for about 15 minutes. Let it cool completely, strain it, and then pour it directly into and around those nest entrances. The compounds penetrate the soil, and often the colony will just decide to relocate within days. Now, take a breath with me here. We've covered 6 excellent ways to disrupt trails and deter nests. But now, it is time for the most fundamental method of all.
Method 7, the root cause audit. This is where we shift from defensive tactics straight into offensive root cause removal. We are finally addressing exactly why the ants are in your garden in the first place. Because let me assure you, ants do not establish a massive, complex colony in a location that offers them nothing. Before we look at the specific fixes, I want you to look at this number, 300. Striking research from the University of Vienna demonstrated that through their active protective farming behavior, ants can increase aphid populations on your plants up to 300%. Think about that. If you have ants marching all over your vegetables, you almost certainly have a sap-sucking pest problem that those ants are carefully cultivating. So let's conduct our root cause audit together. There are 3 main attractors drawing them in. First up, those honeydew sources. Aphids, whiteflies, and mealybugs produce sweet honeydew, which ants actively harvest. To fix this, blast the aphids off your plants with a sharp jet of water and actively encourage biological predators like ladybirds and lacewings to move into your space. Second, dry nesting conditions. Ants love the warm, bone-dry soil under a pot or maybe beside a brick wall. By watering regularly and adding a good thick layer of mulch, you disturb those perfect nesting sites and make the soil far less inviting. And third, accessible food. Spilled birdseed, fallen fruit, or even pet food left out on the patio, these are open buffets for scout ants. Clean these up consistently and you simply remove their reason to stay. When we pull this all together, we get a holistic, highly effective strategy. Combine your root cause audit with 2 or 3 of the trail disruptors we discussed earlier, like the coffee grounds or the peppermint. I want to be completely honest with you here. Our goal is ecological management, not 100% elimination. Small numbers of ants actually provide vital soil aeration and some valuable pest predation. They belong in nature. Our true goal is simply to make your specific garden an incredibly unrewarding option compared to, say, the garden down the street. No honeydew, no dry nesting sites, and disrupted pheromone trails means the colony will naturally choose to pack up and leave. I really hope this explainer has empowered you with the practical, science-backed knowledge you need to take back your vegetable beds and patios, calmly and naturally. If you found this helpful, please give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below letting me know which method you're going to try out today. I read every single comment, and I genuinely love helping you figure out these little garden puzzles. But I'll leave you with this final thought. Every time we reach for a chemical spray, we are fighting a war against nature that we will eventually, inevitably lose. But when we take the time to understand the biology of our gardens, we stop fighting nature and we start outsmarting it. It really makes you wonder, what other garden pests are actually just symptoms of an imbalance, just waiting for you to correct it? Thank you so much for joining me, and happy growing.